Hi, this is Taylor Garvin with Taven Night Photography, and today we are doing levels masking. Now, masking is a non-destructive layer-based form of editing. I'm not manipulating the original image. All I'm doing is adding layers on top of it. The great thing about masking is if you don't like something you've done, you can always change it. You're not stuck with it. Levels allow us to change or add shadows, highlights, and midtones. Now, levels masking is a lot like curves masking, except for you have a lot more control. A levels mask has three main controls. The black triangle on the left is shadows, the gray triangle in the middle is midtones, and the white triangle on the right is highlights. Very easy. Before we get started, let's create a levels layer. So we're going to go to our layers window at the bottom right corner on most screens, depending on how you have your setup. And we're going to go down to adjustments at the bottom and click on levels. And we are ready to do levels masking. So let's start off with the shadows. I always do shadows first. Even though this picture is a bit dark, it will still work. So I'm bringing down my shadows, and I put the black triangle at about 53. Now I'm going to go down, I'm going to check my foreground and background. My foreground needs to be white and my background needs to be black, so I have these reversed. All I need to do is hit X to fix those. If your foreground colors are not white and black, hit the D. That will default Photoshop back to black and white. And then you just need to hit your B key. That's your brush tool. So you see I have my brush tool ready. I have the edges set to 0. Size, I'm not going to worry about that because I'm going to use my bracket keys. See, bracket up and down. But before I get started, I need to do one thing. That's invert this mask because I don't want the entire photo looking like this. So I'm going to press Command-I on a Mac. And if you have a PC, well, I don't know. So my opacity is still set at 100%. I'm going to move it down to 25%. I could also just press 25. I'm going to look at some of these shadows over here, not the dark shadows, but the lesser shadows. I'm just going to go over those gently. And you can already see it's bringing out definition, albeit too much, but for YouTube this should be fine. So I'm adding to the tree lines, coming over here real quick. And this is just messy. So don't do it this way. Take your time with levels. You got to kind of treat it like painting. Okay, so then we're just going to do that with shadows, nothing more. Now I'm going to go to highlights. So I'm going to go down again, go to my levels. Going to go to my highlights, that's the right triangle. Open up the highlights. Yeah, real bright. Alright, so I brought my highlights up to 175. I don't really have a number I normally use. I just go by with what the picture is. I'm going to hit Command-I to invert it. Choose my brush tool again. And I'm going to go up to these trees right here. And just tapping away. I'm trying to separate these trees from this hill over here because it all blends in. And then I'm going to go to the water and I'm going to make that reflection even brighter. And see, highlights on this image make the difference because it's kind of a dark image. I'm going to go to these trees over here, highlight these. Just changing my brush size. Come over to these trees. And right here, this foreground, which I do not like, does benefit from some highlights. Alright, really quickly, going to go back to my shadows, and I want to do one thing. I want to darken the sky a bit. So all I have to do is click on here, and now it's like you have a neutral density filter. bluer sky. Very nice. All right, let's move to midtones. Going down to levels. Gonna bring the other way. Gonna bring midtones this way. And I'll put it at 1.3. And I'm gonna invert that. And I'm gonna come back over to this area. And think of midtones almost like contrast. It really gets rid of the shadows. Not always a good thing. And then I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to go midtones the other way. And that's going to add some contrast. Invert that. And let's go to this hill right here. Not that it really needs it, but. And then lastly, I'm going to show you one that I don't recommend, but is kind of fun. And I'm going to go down to, as you can see, by the way, I'm up at the RGB above the histogram. I'm going to go to red, and I'm going to grab my shadow, and I'm going to pull it this way, and you can see it's adding green because I'm pulling out red. And I'm going to hit Command I, and I'm going to come over to, which one do I want to hit? I'm going to hit these trees. I haven't tried that one yet. Yeah, that's got the separation I was looking for. And we'll go to these trees over here, which are looking awful, but that's the great thing about masking. I can go back and change all that. We'll do one more real quick. And levels. Gonna go back up to blue, and let's play with the white. Yeah, there it is. All right, white. Brought the white to 229. I'm going to invert that. And if you guessed it, I am going to use it on the sky. That took a second to process, but I'm going to also go down on the pond, and that blued it up. So essentially, that's levels masking. There are three main functions. You can add the color to it if you want. There's also the output levels, but I don't really see why you ever need to use those. And it's that easy. I'll show you the before picture. Really flat image. And the after picture. Not a gorgeous image, but it has potential. And here's the image I spent about 15 minutes working on. And I think that turned out pretty decent. The great thing about this image is none of it is set in stone. I can always go back and change something as long as I still have my mask open. So that's really all there is to levels masking. I'm Taylor Garvin with Taven Knight Photography. Thanks for watching.